December 30th, 1944, near Bastogne, Belgium. The snow had finally stopped falling. But the battlefield remained silent beneath a blanket of white. Burned Sherman tanks stood frozen beside shattered trees. Broken rifles, torn helmets, and abandoned equipment lay scattered across the frozen ground, reminders of the brutal fighting that had swept through the Ardennes only hours earlier. American infantrymen slowly searched the battlefield. Some looked for wounded comrades. Others collected intelligence from abandoned German positions. Near the edge of a shell crater, one private called for his platoon sergeant. "Sergeant, you need to see this." Lying face down in the snow was a fallen German soldier wearing a white winter camouflage smock over his Wehrmacht uniform. As the Americans searched his equipment, one soldier reached inside the man's heavy field coat. His hand stopped. He slowly pulled out a bundle of metal chains. At first, everyone thought they were souvenirs. Then the tags caught the morning light. American dog tags. Not one, not five, nearly 50. Each tag carried the name of an American soldier. Some were bent by bullets. Others were stained with mud and dried blood. The battlefield grew strangely quiet. Nobody spoke. The discovery was immediately reported up the chain of command. By late afternoon, the bundle of dog tags rested on a desk inside General George S. Patton's Third Army headquarters. Patton picked them up one by one. Every tag represented an American soldier. Some of the names already appeared on casualty reports. Others were still listed as missing. One staff officer quietly suggested sealing the evidence until the war was over. Patton looked up sharply. "No, they belong to our men, and they're going home." The room fell silent. No one yet realized that Patton's next order would send intelligence officers, medical teams, and frontline units into one of the largest identification efforts of the winter campaign. Patton wasted no time. He summoned intelligence officers, medical personnel, and graves registration teams into his headquarters. The bundle of American dog tags lay spread across the operations table beside maps of the Ardennes. The room was silent. One by one, Patton read the names engraved into the metal. Some belonged to infantrymen, others to tank crewmen. A few belonged to medics. Each tag represented a soldier whose family deserved answers. An intelligence officer broke the silence. "Sir, the German may have collected them over several battles," another added. "We may never know exactly what happened." Patton shook his head. "We're going to find out everything we can." He pointed toward the stack of tags. "I want every name checked. Casualty reports, hospital records, prisoner lists. If even one of these men is alive, his family deserves to know." Within hours, clerks worked through the night comparing records, while radio operators contacted nearby divisions. Graves registration teams were ordered to revisit recently captured battlefields, carefully searching abandoned foxholes, wrecked vehicles, and temporary German positions. Patton refused to let the investigation become routine paperwork. He wanted facts. Meanwhile, rumors spread quickly through the Third Army. Soldiers whispered about the German found carrying dozens of American dog tags. Some believed he had taken them from fallen enemies. Others feared something far worse. No one knew the truth. 2 days later, one intelligence captain entered headquarters carrying a thick folder. "General, I think we've identified nearly every name." Patton looked up. "What did you find?" The captain hesitated. The answer would reveal a story that no one inside the headquarters had expected, and it would change how Patton viewed the battle that had just been fought. The intelligence captain opened the folder and laid several reports on Patton's desk. "General, we've traced nearly every name." Patton quietly scanned the pages. Many of the dog tags belonged to soldiers reported, killed during the opening days of the Battle of the Bulge. Others had been wounded and successfully evacuated. A handful were listed as prisoners of war. The German soldier had not killed all 50 men himself. Instead, investigators believed he had gathered the tags from abandoned battlefields, destroyed aid stations, and fallen American positions as the front shifted back and forth through the Ardennes. Even so, the discovery carried enormous weight. Each tag represented a family waiting for news. Patton closed the folder. "They're not souvenirs," he said firmly. "They're American soldiers." He immediately issued another order. Every recovered dog tag would be cleaned, documented, and returned through official military channels whenever possible. Missing soldiers would be cross-checked once more, and any new evidence would be sent to casualty offices without delay. Meanwhile, word of the investigation reached the frontline units. One infantry sergeant recognized a name on the list. "He was in my squad," he said quietly. "I thought no one would ever know what happened to him." Medical officers and graves registration teams continued their work across the frozen battlefield. They searched shell craters, ruined farmhouses, abandoned trenches, and burned out Sherman tanks, carefully collecting personal belongings that might identify the fallen. The work was slow, cold, and heartbreaking, but every recovered name meant another soldier would not be forgotten. As reports continued to arrive, Patton watched silently from headquarters. Victory wasn't measured only by captured ground. Sometimes it was measured by keeping faith with the men who had paid the highest price. The story of the 50 dog tags was far from over. Patton was about to make a decision that would leave a lasting impression on every soldier serving under his command. A few days later, General George S. Patton visited one of the temporary American military cemeteries established near the front. Rows of simple wooden crosses stretched across the snow-covered hillside. Some bore names. Others carried only a single word: unknown. The bitter winter wind swept across the silent field as Patton walked slowly between the graves, accompanied only by a chaplain and several officers. In his coat pocket rested one of the recovered American dog tags. He stopped before a newly marked grave. Without saying a word, he held the tag in his hand for a moment before placing it with the grave's registration officer. "This man has a name," Patton said quietly. "Make sure it's never forgotten." The officer nodded. Back at 3rd Army headquarters, Patton issued one final directive. Every recovered personal item, dog tags, letters, photographs, wallets, wedding rings, and Bibles, was to be carefully cataloged and returned, whenever possible, to the soldier or, if he had fallen, to his family. "No American who fought under this command," Patton said, "will become just another number." The orders spread quickly throughout the 3rd Army. Soldiers heard that the commanding general had personally insisted that every name be identified and every recovered item treated with dignity. For many, it wasn't simply another military order. It was proof that their commander understood what those small metal tags truly represented. Not trophies, not statistics, but fathers, brothers, sons, friends. The Battle of the Bulge would continue for several more weeks, and thousands more lives would be changed forever. Yet the story of the 50 dog tags became a reminder that even in the middle of history's largest battles, every individual life still mattered. History remembers General George S. Patton for his speed, his aggressive tactics, and his relentless drive across Europe. But stories like this reveal another side of his leadership. A commander who believed that honoring the sacrifice of his soldiers was just as important as leading them into battle. Sometimes the greatest act of leadership isn't winning the next fight. It's making sure those who never returned are never forgotten. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments which World War II story you'd like to see next.